Hello, I've got your energy stories for the fourth week of July 2024. And in the first one, the offshore Vineyard Wind 1 project off Massachusetts suffered significant damage last week as one of its 13 MW GE Vernova blades failed during testing. Initially, only one part of the 55-ton, 107-meter blade failed, with tons of debris subsequently washing up on Nantucket beaches 15 miles away. The remainder of the blade, however, subsequently dropped into the ocean a few days later, giving Offshore Wind an enormous black eye that may take some time to recover from. As the Coast Guard set up a perimeter around the site and cleanup crews were dispatched to scour Nantucket beaches, the U.S. Bureau of Safety and Environmental Enforcement issued a suspension order, stopping all construction and operations pending a determination as to whether the failure may affect any other turbines. It also mandated that any evidence that may help determine the cause of the accident be safeguarded. Not surprisingly, as more shredded fiber flotsam floated on shore and beaches were closed, the town of Nantucket was quick to express its displeasure. Its select board announced over the weekend that it would consider legal action against joint owners Avangrid and Copenhagen Infrastructure Partners. Watch this space. There will be much more to come. The Energy Information Administration released data showing that data centers are the prime driver of new U.S. demand growth in the commercial sector, but that this affects only a limited number of states, while in others, growth has actually declined. 2023 consumption stood at 14 billion kilowatt hours, that's 14 terawatt hours to you, up 1% over 2019 in that commercial sector. Most of this is where computer server farms are taking over the landscape, such as Texas and Virginia. Demand growth in the top 10 states totaled 42 terawatt hours between 2019 and 2023, while the 40 other U.S. states saw a total decline of 28 terawatt hours. With its access to powerful fiber connections and 4 submarine cables, Virginia leads the pack. Both available land and favorable tax credits, Texas is surging as well. It's a favorite for the crypto crowd, but also increasingly for AI-driven computer load. Speaking of which, South Korea's Hanwha Energy announced it is planning a $1.5 billion 200-megawatt AI data center that will lease to an undisclosed U.S. tech company in Texas. It may be partially supported by Hanwha's 2,000-megawatt solar plant in that state. Hanwha's spokesman commented that numerous companies are seeking hundreds of megawatts of AI data centers, which is good for Hanwha with its renewable business. Watch here for more announcements as well, as new AI-driven data centers grow increasingly hungry for power around the globe. U.S.-based Peak Energy just secured $55 million in a Series A fundraising round to start full-scale production of its sodium-ion battery technology. Peak indicates in a press release that it is already experiencing significant demand for its battery systems and plans to deploy sodium batteries to 6 customers participating in pilot programs as early as next year. These include 3 of the top 5 largest U.S. independent power producers and electric utilities, the company says. It also plans to start construction of its first domestic giga-scale sodium-ion battery factory to open by 2027. Starbucks and Mercedes-Benz high-powered charging announced a joint project to deploy EV chargers at over 100 U.S.-based Starbucks. Phase 1 will include deploying from 4 to 10 400 kW chargers at locations along Interstate 5. That's the north-south highway between Canada and Mexico. The total number of chargers installed will depend on utility infrastructure as well as EV saturations in various geographies. This announcement follows on the heels of a Starbucks partnership with Volvo, in which 50 charging stations were deployed at 15 locations about every 100 miles between Seattle and Denver. When concluded, Starbucks intends on providing customer access to chargers at close to 1,000 of its total 17,000 U.S. locations. For its part, Benz opened its first U.S. charger site in the U.S. just last November and now has over a dozen 400 kW stations at sites mostly in the southeastern United States. Well, that's all for this week. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next week.